It's time for QB1 with Chris Phillips, and we're talking about Matt Ryan. What do you think the vibe in Indianapolis is? I've been so excited to see what's possible for Matt Ryan in Indy. How excited is everybody?
Everybody's really excited, honestly. I'd say probably the biggest talk is about whose backup should be. And when you're talking about a starting quarterback's backup, I think that just lets everybody know that they're on board with who the starter is and they're not worried about it. They're more concerned about, okay, if something crazy were to happen to the starter, who's the guy afterwards? So Matt Ryan is the quarterback. He's got fans excited, bringing back the feel from the glory days when Peyton Manning was here, and even when Andrew Luck was here. Just, hey, this team is on the rise. They're going to be winners. They're going to be in the playoffs, and who knows where it goes from there.
What do you think fans can expect from Matt Ryan this upcoming season?
I think there are a few must-haves for this team in the season, regardless of how it turns out. They definitely need to beat Jacksonville in Jacksonville. The last time they did that was back in 2014. The team also needs to start 2-0. It's been 9 years since they last started 1-0, and obviously to get to 2-0, you have to go to 1-0 first. So it's been a while since that's happened, and then it's been 13 years since they last went 2-0. So this regime with Chris Ballard and Frank Wright, they've yet to win an AFC South title, and they have only got one playoff victory. So those are some things that also need to change. They need to win the AFC South. They need to kind of go on a little bit of a run in the playoffs as well. Otherwise, if not, this upcoming offseason could be very drastic than what people are thinking, expecting. But right now, the team needs to take care of Houston. Then after that, they need to take care of Jacksonville.
Yeah, I wonder how difficult of a test that'll actually be, considering what a dumpster fire Jacksonville was last season. I think they're still putting a lot of pieces together. Sorry, that's just how I feel about it. I mean,
Sure.
when you have your starting quarterback out there in the preseason, I think you're probably still working out the kinks. But when you think about Matt Ryan in Indianapolis, do you think that he's got a little bit more staying power than, say, like a Philip Rivers, who is kind of in and out? I mean, we saw Matt Ryan and his family commit to the Falcons, and he was very productive offensively, even though there were a lot of things around him that were out of his control. He kind of dug his heels in. Of course, he got paid a ton of money, but he really was able to just do his job and really set up a life there and a community there for him and for his family. Do you think that he will stay in Indianapolis for the long haul, especially if it goes well?
I think fans should realistically expect a kind of a combination from their previous two quarterbacks in Carson Wentz and Philip Rivers. Ryan, I believe, can read a defense both pre-snap and post-snap, and get the ball out quickly and effectively and on time to his receivers, where Rivers could also do that. The bugaboo with Wentz was that was something he struggled with. So he would hold on to the ball for a long time, and sometimes it'd work out because it'd be something that would happen, and a lot of times it didn't. So now on the flip side, Wentz was able to drive the ball down the field, and I think that's something that Ryan still can do. I do think, unlike Rivers, who's only here for a year, I think Ryan can be here for multiple years. I know he signed his contract has him on the books for 2 more seasons, but if this offensive line is as good as Colts fans are hoping, and as good as Ballard thinks it can be, with the work that he's put into it, I think Ryan could be here for a season or two beyond his current contract, which would be great because the guy can still sling it on the field, and he can still be successful, and he can still win. I mean, he's very, very good. And I'd say probably think enough credit for all the work that he's done, because Atlanta just didn't have a lot of things in place for him to be successful. So he kind of got overlooked a little bit. But I think here in Indianapolis, with this offensive system that Frank Wright has in place, the weapons that are here for Matt Ryan, I think he can have a really good year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not sure he's gotten the credit that he deserves for the offensive numbers that he put up in Atlanta because of how terrible they were. But I also, at certain points in his career, have questioned his decision making as well. I mean, I think back to that Super Bowl with the Patriots where things really fell apart. And, I look at him as a quarterback that had a lot to do with that. And maybe part of the reason why he hasn't kind of transcended into that super upper echelon of elite quarterbacks. But you bring up a great point too. There's so much that was dysfunctional around him that how could you possibly do any better than just compartmentalizing and essentially going out there and doing your job week in and week out? If the offensive line is as advertised, and if he brings what we think he can still bring, what is the long-term outlook for them for the 2022 season? How good do you think the Colts will ultimately be?
I think they can win the division. I mean, I believe at this point now, with Tennessee trading their best receiver in A.J. Brown, with them losing their best pass rusher, I think everything is just on a silver platter for the Colts to win the AFC South. And we all know the best way to get into the playoffs is to win your division. So I think they can take care of that. After that, I don't see why they can't win less than 11 games on the year. They've got everything in place. I mean, that defense they've got there, if it's as good as it looks on paper, it should be one of the best defenses in the league. I mean, you're talking about a potential shutdown corner in Stephon Gilmore, one of the best linebackers in Shaquille Leonard. Yannick Ngakoue has been a terror for Colts fans. So the fact that he now gets to terrorize Colts opponents is a huge get. Colts fans are probably pretty relieved that they don't have to worry about Ngakoue sacking their quarterback. So I think Ryan and the Colts can win the division. I think they can win 11 games at least. I think they can, beyond that, I could see them, depending on how records fall, I could see them winning 2 games, winning the wild card and the divisional round. If they get, first round bye, I think they can win the divisional round and make it to the AFC Championship game at least.
Wow, that would be huge for Indianapolis fans, and quite a story if they were able to do it.
Yep, definitely. I think Matt Ryan can throw for at least 4,500 yards this season. He can go for 30 touchdowns, and I think he can get, just single digits in the interception department. I think he can really take care of the ball. This offense that Reich has is really about maximizing his quarterback's talents and abilities, and he really wants to run the ball. And by running the ball, it just makes things a lot easier to throw it because you don't have to worry. The defense has to worry about Jonathan Taylor just breaking off a home run on an Indy play. He's that talented, and Michael Pittman is on the rise, and I think he'll have another 1,000-yard season and just be reminiscent to Julio Jones in Atlanta. Just that big play ability from him.
You're making a very compelling case. I feel like I want to run to the nearest sports book and bet on the conference championships right now. QB1 with Chris Phillips. Great stuff, Chris. Thanks.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more QB1.